Do you think that's a mental illness, narcissism? And if so, is he fit to be president?
All right, folks, buckle up, because things got intense on The View. Dr. Phil, the king of no-nonsense truths, left Joy Behar and the rest of the table completely stunned. This isn't just a typical TV moment, it's one for the history books. Dr. Phil called out Joy live on air, and her reaction? Oh, you'll want to see this. From discussions on Trump's alleged narcissism to Joy Behar's not-so-hidden bias, this episode was a roller coaster of emotions. But before we dive into this drama-filled exchange, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Trust me, you don't want to miss breakdowns like this. Raw, unfiltered, and packed with all the juicy details you crave. Did you just subscribe? Great. Let's get into it. It all started when Joy Behar decided to tackle Donald Trump head-on, bringing up claims from psychologists labeling him a narcissist.
No, she's got to ask you this question.
Yeah, I got to ask you this question because though they can't diagnose anybody, you know, from afar, somebody they haven't examined, doctors, therapists, a lot of respected psychologists out there, really big-time, big names, are saying that Donald Trump is showing signs of narcissism, which, by the way, one of the symptoms is preoccupied with the fantasies of unlimited power, success, and brilliance. And they're questioning that he has narcissistic disorder. Number one, do you think that's a mental illness, narcissism? And if so, is he fit to be president?
Armed with a list from the DSM-5, the Diagnostic Bible for Mental Health, she attempted to systematically check off every narcissistic trait she could think of. Let's go through a few of those characteristics. A grandiose sense of self-importance, preoccupied with fantasies of unlimited success, power, or brilliance. A sense of entitlement, lacking empathy. Sound familiar? Joy seemed very confident that she was describing Trump to a T. But here's where it gets interesting. Dr. Phil wasn't buying it. With his usual wit and composure, he hit back, saying something that stopped the table cold. If you take out everybody with those characteristics, you'll lose a lot of people, including some at this table. Ouch. The look on Joy's face, absolutely priceless. Dr. Phil, being the seasoned professional he is, didn't just stop there. He took the opportunity to educate the audience and the panel about what narcissism truly is. Pulling directly from the DSM-5, he methodically broke down the traits and explained why they're more common than people realize, especially in high-pressure roles like leadership.
But, you know, people talk about narcissism, but they don't really know what it means. So I brought a list from the DSM-5 about what narcissism really is, because if I asked people to stand up and define it, they wouldn't know.
All right.
And let's just take a vote. One, has a grandiose sense of self-importance.
Check.
Check. Okay.
Next.
Two, is preoccupied with fantasies of success, power, or brilliance, which you said. Check. Okay. Three, believes that he or she is special or unique.
Check.
Can only be understood by special people. Four, requires excessive admiration.
Oh, check, 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 check.
Has a sense of entitlement, which means is very thin-skinned.
Oh, check, 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 check.
Is interpersonally exploitive.
Oh, yeah.
Lacks empathy. Has the inability to stand in other people's shoes. And understand
you mean like when he makes fun of people who are handicapped or
I'm just
disabled?
reading it. You interpret it however you want. Is often envious of others or believes that others are envious of him or her. Shows arrogant and haughty behavior.
Here's the twist. Dr. Phil pointed out that while many leaders might exhibit these traits, that doesn't automatically mean they're narcissists. It's about context, behavior, and impact. And while Joy was clearly rattled, he kept the conversation focused on facts, not feelings. This wasn't just a debate about Trump. It was a masterclass in understanding human behavior. And let's be honest, how often do you see that on The View? And just when you thought Dr. Phil was done, he flipped the script. Instead of continuing to entertain Joy's checklist of narcissism traits, he highlighted Trump's generosity, something the media rarely talks about. Remember the story of Trump paying off a couple's mortgage after their car broke down and they stopped to help him? Or how about the time he gave $110,000 to a family battling cancer, simply because he wanted to help. Dr. Phil pointed out that these actions don't align with the narrative Joy was trying to paint. In fact, they showcase a side of Trump that many people don't see. A side that's compassionate, selfless, and willing to go above and beyond for others. Joy, visibly frustrated, tried to steer the conversation back to her original point, but the damage was already done. The audience could see through it, and Dr. Phil's words hung heavy in the air. At this point, Joy's frustration was boiling over. She attempted to regain control of the conversation, but it was clear she was losing ground. Her facial expressions, the defensive tone in her voice, it all pointed to someone who knew she'd been outmaneuvered. And of course, the internet wasted no time reacting. Clips of the exchange went viral, with viewers praising Dr. Phil for standing his ground and delivering a reality check. Comments flooded in, many pointing out the irony of Joy trying to accuse Trump of narcissism while ignoring her own biases. Some even joked that Dr. Phil's remarks applied to Joy more than anyone else at the table. The memes? Absolutely savage. As the conversation wrapped up, Dr. Phil left the panel with a final thought that couldn't be ignored. Life isn't black and white. No one is perfect, and labeling people doesn't solve anything. It just divides us further. It was a moment of clarity in an otherwise chaotic discussion, and it left Joy and her co-hosts scrambling for a response. Dr. Phil had done what few others have managed to do on The View: shift the narrative and bring some much-needed perspective to the table.
As we disrupt you to your functioning. And so the question is this malignant to the point that it puts people's lives in jeopardy, puts our futures in jeopardy?
Yeah.
That's what you have to decide. I doubt that there's ever been anyone that has sat in the chair of the presidency that didn't have some type of imbalance mentally or emotionally at some point in their lives.
Well, Nixon did,
we
too.
all have our, we all have our hearts broken. We all have things that we go through.
You wouldn't look at President Obama and say he has narcissistic disorder. So you can't just say they all have it.
I didn't
Some
say they
people
all
have
it.
all the things you said.
Right.
We just checked every one of them.
I said most leaders, most leaders are under a lot of stress and pressure.
Yeah.
So a lot of them will show anxiety, depression at different times. A lot of leaders will have some affliction at different times because of the pressure and demand.
So, what do you think? Was Dr. Phil spot on in his analysis, or did Joy have a point? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We want to hear from you. And hey, if you loved this breakdown, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more epic takedowns, viral moments, and unfiltered truth. Your support means the world to us, and it helps us keep bringing you the content you love. Thanks for watching, and remember, stay curious, stay informed, and never be afraid to challenge the narrative. See you in the next video.